Wow!
Anthony Joshua wasn't just a champion, he was a force. The man who took the heavyweight boxing world by storm, conquering opponents with power, speed, and unbreakable confidence. But then, something changed. An unexpected loss, a shaken confidence, and suddenly, the unstoppable was no longer invincible. The boxing world was left stunned, wondering what happened to Joshua. Was it a single blow, or a hidden struggle beneath the surface? Today, we uncover the untold story of Anthony Joshua's fall from grace and the dark truths that may have led to his shocking downfall. Anthony Joshua's story begins with a rise that was nothing short of inspiring. Born in Watford, England, he didn't have the typical champion's background. Growing up, he was an ordinary kid from a regular working-class family, far from fame and fortune. But something set him apart, an incredible physicality and strength that he discovered through boxing. Joshua began his boxing journey at 18, much later than most. Yet he quickly showed the world his raw talent. He had power, speed, and charisma, and fans couldn't get enough. In 2012, he claimed gold at the Olympics, a moment that put him on the global stage. This wasn't just any victory, it was the kind of win that makes people sit up and notice. Joshua was no longer just a young talent, he was the next big thing. Then came the big leagues. Joshua's professional career kicked off, and he started crushing opponents. His record was nothing short of intimidating knockout after knockout, a force to be reckoned with. By 2016, he was the IBF heavyweight champion, and within 2 years, he held 3 major belts: IBF, WBA, and WBO. It was the golden era of his career. But as they say, with every rise, there's a risk of a fall. The date alone still stirs memories in boxing fans. Anthony Joshua entered the ring in Madison Square Garden, New York, ready to defend his titles against an underdog. Andy Ruiz Jr. Ruiz was not your typical heavyweight. Shorter, heavier, and with an unconventional style, he looked like no match for Joshua's athletic, towering frame. Fans expected a quick win for Joshua. But what happened next was shocking. From the start, Joshua looked off. His movements were slow, and his confidence seemed shaky. Then came the knockdowns. Round after round, Ruiz kept getting back up, showing resilience Joshua hadn't expected. By the 7th round, Joshua's fate was sealed. The referee called it Andy Ruiz Jr. The underdog had defeated the champion. This wasn't just a loss, it was a humiliating one. The boxing world was stunned. How could a powerhouse like Joshua lose to a fighter like Ruiz? Was it overconfidence? Did he underestimate Ruiz, or was there something else going on? 6 months later, Joshua was back in the ring for a rematch with Ruiz, determined to reclaim his titles. This time, he came in leaner, focused, and with a different strategy. He didn't engage Ruiz in close combat. Instead, he used his height and reach, staying on the outside and playing it safe. Joshua won back his titles in a decision, but something felt different. Fans noticed his fighting style had changed. He was cautious, almost too careful. Some argued that the old Joshua, the fearless powerhouse, was gone, replaced by a fighter who now feared losing. Was it a smart move or a sign of his shaken confidence? His victory was strategic, but it lacked the excitement fans expected. Joshua had his belts back, but questions lingered. Was this really a win? By now, it was clear Joshua was no longer the same. He spoke openly about the pressures of being a champion, the weight of expectations, and the mental toll of his first big loss. Fame had brought him wealth and recognition, but it also brought constant scrutiny. Every move he made, every punch he threw was under a microscope. Joshua's confidence took a hit, and it showed in his fights. Even his body language changed. He no longer had that spark, that fire that made him a feared opponent. Was he afraid of losing again? Did the pressure get to him? Joshua himself admitted to struggling with self-belief, and that's something rare to hear from a champion. The mental game is crucial in boxing, and once that's affected, it's hard to bounce back. Then came Oleksandr Usyk, a Ukrainian boxer known for his technical skills, speed, and intelligence in the ring. In 2021, Joshua faced Usyk in what was supposed to be a chance for him to prove his greatness. But Usyk wasn't like any opponent Joshua had faced before. He was fast, precise, and his footwork was impeccable. The fight was intense, and from the start, Usyk controlled the pace. Joshua seemed lost, unable to find his rhythm. He tried to adapt, but couldn't keep up with Usyk's agility and skill. By the end of the fight, it was clear Joshua had been outboxed. Usyk was declared the winner, taking Joshua's titles and perhaps a piece of his pride with him. This loss hit harder than the one against Ruiz. Joshua had been beaten, not by a lucky punch or an underdog story, but by a superior boxer. He was now faced with the question, had he reached his limit? Was he just not good enough to reclaim his spot at the top? Joshua's career now hinged on one word: redemption. He got his rematch with Usyk in 2022, and this time, he was ready to prove himself. Fans hoped to see the old Joshua, the powerful, fearless fighter they once admired. But the rematch unfolded in a similar fashion. Usyk's skill and strategy were too much for Joshua to overcome. Although Joshua put up a better fight, it wasn't enough. Usyk emerged victorious once again. After the fight, Joshua's frustration was visible. He was angry, not just at Usyk, but at himself, at the way things had turned out. In a post-fight speech, he poured out his feelings, showing a vulnerable side that few had seen before. It was raw, emotional, and showed a man struggling with the reality of his own limitations. After his second defeat to Oleksandr Usyk in August 2022, Anthony Joshua aimed to rebuild his career. He fought Jermaine Franklin in April 2023, winning by unanimous decision in a cautious performance. Later, in August 2023, he faced Robert Helenius and won by knockout in the 7th round, displaying improved aggression and finishing power. These bouts served as a tune-up period for Joshua before his eventual clash with Daniel Dubois for the IBF title. In a stunning turn, Anthony Joshua faced another tough challenge when he went up against Daniel Dubois in his most recent fight. Fans had hoped this bout would mark a return to form for Joshua, a chance to regain his confidence and redeem his reputation. But Dubois, known for his youth, raw power, and resilience, proved a formidable opponent. Joshua, despite flashes of his former self, struggled to maintain control and rhythm throughout the fight. In a shocking conclusion, Dubois clinched the victory, leaving Joshua with yet another painful loss and further questions about his future in the ring. With this latest defeat, the boxing world is left pondering, is this the end for Joshua, or can he find it within himself to rebuild once again? Joshua's reliance on his physicality and power worked well at the start, but as new fighters emerged with better tactics and mental toughness, his weaknesses became clear. The sport evolved, but did Joshua adapt with it? Or did he get left behind? Where did it go wrong? So what exactly led to Anthony Joshua's downfall? Was it overconfidence, the pressure of fame, or did he just face opponents who were simply better? The answer may lie somewhere in between. Joshua's initial success may have made him too comfortable. His style, once effective, became predictable. He seemed unprepared for fighters who could outsmart him in the ring. Add to this the mental strain of being constantly under the spotlight, and you have a recipe for disaster. Boxing isn't just physical, it's a mental game, and Joshua's losses exposed the psychological battles he was fighting. Can Joshua make a comeback? As of now, Anthony Joshua's future in boxing hangs in the balance. Can he reinvent himself, adapt to the new age of boxing, and find a way back to the top? The journey won't be easy, and his fans know it. Joshua will have to work harder than ever, both physically and mentally, to restore his confidence and recapture his fighting spirit. While some believe he's past his prime, others think he still has what it takes. If he can learn from his past, overcome his mental hurdles, and embrace a new fighting style, he might just make a comeback. But that's the question only time will answer. Anthony Joshua's story is one of triumph and struggle, a reminder that even the greatest champions are human. His rise was meteoric, but his fall has been humbling. As fans, we can only watch and hope that this isn't the end, but rather a chapter in a journey toward redemption. Will Joshua find his way back to the top, or is this the final chapter of a once great champion? If you enjoyed this deep dive into Anthony Joshua's journey, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest content. We're bringing you more in-depth stories and insights just like this one. Don't miss out, subscribe now, and stay tuned for more.